Well, hello, welcome along to what is likely to be the final FM24 dedicated video on the channel. FM25 news sure to drop any day now, and despite the slight delay due to the fact that we're having works done, and as you can see, we're a little bit down on lighting today, we are back for what should be the final stint of our epic FM24 Firefighter journey. We return to head to Spain and one of the big five European leagues for the first time. And after two stints in a row where things just got a little bit too easy, now we've picked up a number of badges and a bit of reputation. Are we going to find it for the third time in a row as we head to Spain and La Liga to manage bottom of the table Girona? Yes, hello and welcome along to the 10th and final club of our FM24 Firefighter story. We've had some ups, some downs, some struggles, particularly in Sweden, and a couple of stints where things have just got a little too easy. But today we're going to find out what the final one delivers as we head over to one of the big five European leagues. A save that I'd planned to do for FM25 before the game had got delayed, and will continue in maybe slightly different rules or with slightly stricter variations because it has got a little bit easier towards the end. A save I've really enjoyed that's taken me to a number of countries and a number of leagues I haven't managed in for some times, or in some cases ever. And today we finish off with La Liga and an attempt to save Girona from a very difficult position. So hopefully you're looking forward to that. If you are, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video, and thank you so much for all of your support throughout FM24. Hopefully the new lighting will be installed ready for FM25 and we'll be good to go with a brand new game in March. But for now, we've got to go and take our job. For those of you that were here last week, you will know that we were approached by Girona, who were bottom of the La Liga table, but annoyingly had picked up 4 points under interim management. So I'd moved from 4 and a maroon position to 8 and a difficult position. We want to find out basically after what happened at the last two clubs, Vendor in South Africa and with Samsunspor in Turkey, whether or not there's going to be a bit of a battle on the hands or whether it's just going to get too easy again. I'm hoping in this league, because there's probably 5 or 6 teams that are very strong, we won't be anywhere near threatening the top. And maybe with the squad Girona have got on paper, we're looking to survive and get comfortable enough to be in lower mid-table. We'll find out whether or not that's possible. We accepted the job offer at the end of the last video. 9.5 grand a week was offered. We took 10.75 after negotiation. So let's go and get through to our first day at the club. We're going to meet the players and the staff we'll be working with. And then as always, we'll stop off throughout the journey and show you at least one game on camera. Let's go and get into our first day at the club. Girona is our next destination. Well, here we are. We have been appointed as the club's new manager at 35 years of age. We famously apparently knocked Galatasaray out of the Turkish Cup. We did show that game on camera with Samsunspor. We replaced the previous manager, Luis Garcia Plaza, who had a bigger reputation than us two. We weren't the favourite for the job, but we have made it, and we are now joining a club that's in a 3-match unbeaten run, bizarrely, having picked up 4 points in 2 under interim management. They have drawn a lot of games recently, and prior to that, they were picking up no points at all. So let's see what we've inherited and what we're expected to achieve, because as you can see, it's a fairly big reputation club. The media prediction is for them to finish in 11th place, a far cry from the 20th they're in. But unlike a couple of the clubs we've been at recently, they are still in the cup because it's early in the season. They've got a fairly modern quality stadium. They've got top level facilities. Of course, their links with Manchester City part of that. And they've also got a decent transfer budget, a big wage budget, and a secure financial status, which is a bonus for us as well. The club's got a rich history. However, we are trying to take them back to the top. There's nothing that's sort of up there in recent years since the save started. So we'll have to have a little look at how they've been getting on. But otherwise, there is no excuse for us not to really push on. They finished mid-table last season. They've had a terrible start, but we should be able to get them away from trouble. And that's what we're going to be tasked with. DK Carcel is the director of football. We got a little word about him in the interview. He's not great, but he's solid enough. So let's get through to the rest of the introductory messages. There's a few players we recognise in the form of Arnau Martinez, Victor Siganov, an FM legend over the years. Boadu up front, another one that's of high quality. A lot of experienced players, and then also one special wonder kid in the holding role in Azier Costa. Whether or not we'll get to keep hold of him, we'll wait and see. Let's go and look through the next one though, as we are expected to be competitive in the cup and avoid relegation, work within the wage budget, and ideally develop youth players, but we're probably not going to have enough time for that. And then after they stay up this year, they want to go straight to the top half, but we won't be here to manage that. Remember, we're a firefighter. We save the club, we get them onto a solid footing, and then off we go at the end of the season. The fans want to make the most of set pieces. They are demanding we avoid relegation. We've got a little bit of work to do. So let's go and get into our first day. Look at the introductions because very big club in terms of social media presence. Season ticket holders is great and lots on the waiting list as well. But let's see what we've got in terms of staff and players. We start with staffing, and it is a little bit barer than we would like, but there is still a fair number here while we go and choose our own people. And you always know, anyone who's watched this channel for years, this for me is the number one priority. Get your staffing right, and you will always be able to develop average players. Get your staffing wrong, you can even decline the best. Let's have a look at who else we've got in the staffing ranks. In addition to Kike Carcel, we've got an under-19s manager who is rock solid in Hector Simon, a head of youth development in Santi Pool, who is not great. He's also out of contract at the end of this year, so if I were the club, I wouldn't be keeping him. Senior goalkeeping coach is bang average. Fitness coach is bang average, but better mentally, which is good. Another senior coach who is basically just a better fitness coach. Why isn't he just the fitness coach instead? And no general coaches of any quality. So definitely some work to be done on the coaching team. In terms of physiotherapy, we've got a head physio who's brilliant. We've got a head of sports science who is very good. So that side of things is pretty solid. The other physios all look good. So physio team, medical side, great. And then what about recruitment? The chief scout, not bad at all. And then the scouts that we've got at the club, very good. Angel Gomez. Uceda is poor. Moreno is average. Torrent is average. And Javier Aguirre, a name that always pops up in FM, he is very good and brings us a little bit of knowledge from elsewhere in the footballing world. So not the worst overall. Coaching team definitely needs prioritising. And if we can pick up a couple of scouts from elsewhere in Europe and the world, maybe South America, that would be a bonus too. But we'll get the adverts out for that in the coming days. Let's have a look at what players we've inherited, because the financial situation for once is not an issue given these recent clubs. Another coaching badge could be on the horizon if we want it. Let's start with the development centre though. Nobody with more than 2-star ability, but lots with big potential. Of course, it is a B-team league, which ruins long-term saves in FM24, but not a problem for one season. The ability factor, yeah, there's no one brilliant, but there are a few with big potential. That guy's got the most of it. I'm not sure he's the one, but that's what the club reckons. We won't be here to see the fruition of those plans. Let's have a look at the B team instead, where there is one standout player in terms of potential. Eloy Punzi, 2-star ability, 5-star potential. Yeah, I can see it. Not very physically imposing. And maybe considering that, you would expect him to be technically more adept, a real star passer or controller of possession, someone who likes to dictate the game. He's got good attributes, but he's not going to be outstanding. I could see him maybe reaching this top level, but not in terms of being a Real Madrid or a Barca or someone like that. Just a mid-table La Liga club. There are other players with potential. There's a couple of older ones in here as well. 22 and 23-year-olds too. That's 2-star ability. Oh, he's a bit better. But it does leave me a little bit concerned. I'd say they're maybe National League, League 2 level. Opunzi was probably a slightly better player than that. Let's have a look at a senior squad, which is what you all want to see. We have got a pretty big squad. I did notice one thing, though, when coming to have a little glance here. The second goalkeeper, Benat Gomez, is not registered in the squad. There is one senior goalkeeper registered and then one youth player who is greyed out stars who can be picked as a goalkeeping option. So their second best keeper is not available for selection. He's not great anyway, Benat Gomez, but he is at least a senior keeper. So it means that the one who's away on international duty, if we don't keep him fit till January, we could have a disaster. But the space is in the squads. They've not got the full 25 registered. There's a space there. I just don't understand why they've not registered a second keeper. It's mind-blowing. Obviously, we can't register them outside the window. So we're a little bit stuck for the next 6 weeks. We've got a good run of games in that time as well. 5 in the league. I presume I can play them in the cup game. So we are going to be left a little bit short if we get a goalkeeping injury. That is my one big concern straight off the bat. The goalkeeper we have got is a solid one, if not spectacular. Omri Glazer, he is Israel's number 2. He is, well, okay. I think would be the summary. He's a good jumper, he's tall, he's got good positioning, and he's got good core attributes. So it'll be solid enough. But as a decision maker, as an agile keeper, as that sort of top level one, he's probably going to be one of the weak links in the 11. But for this season, I'm sure we'll do a job in helping us survive. We've seen Gomez, who we can't play just yet. And then the next defender is transfer listed and not very good. 27-year-old Martin Moorman, 2-star ability. If we're being honest, physically he's a monster. The rest of it is bang average. He's second tier when it comes to the technique and the mental side of the game. And I've no idea what he's doing there, unless he's been here for years since they were in the B team. No, he joined a year ago. Why on earth did they pay for him? I know it's only a nominal fee, but it's a very strange signing. He won't be anywhere near my plans if things go well. We've also then got Sen Leinen, who is a 29-year-old holding midfielder. Can play centre-half as well. Solid across the board. Again, we've got a lot of good players without having many outstanding ones. He's been a rotation option this year. Probably will be for us as well. The next one, Giannis Papanikolaou. He is a 29-year-old Greek international. Very similar player. Perhaps not quite so good in the holding role. So it will depend whether we play with a holding mid or a centre mid as to which one of those will end up being first choice. Both very aggressive, which is a concern on the carding front as well. One of the best centre-halves at the club is out on loan without the option of being recalled. And it is Jonas David, who's at Aberdeen, a side we know well from our Twitch saves this year. He is pretty average again across the board, but probably 1 or 2 better than Moorman in every area. So would have been useful to the squad at least. The next one is a lone player, 32-year-old right-back Pascal Stenzel. He is 6 foot, so could do a job at centre-half if we need it. Can also do a job at wing-backs. Got a great delivery. But again, his average is declining physically, you can see. But a solid professional option for the season. It could be worse. Next after that, we've got Ere Comer, who is a 30-year-old Swiss centre-half, not a holding midfielder, which is what they said. He's all right. Again, physically not the best. Very good on the ball. Technically a good defender. Okay mentally. But again, we've not got anyone with those standout attributes. And that is a bit of a worry for me. The one who probably has of the defensive options is Arnel Martinez. 25-year-old fullback who's also a very good centre-half. In an ideal world, he'd be a wing-back in a back 5. But looking at the options, we've got a centre-half and that Stenzel's a decent right-back. He'll probably end up playing in central defence for now. He has 4-star ability. He's a star player from the academy. He's good enough at 6 foot to be able to do the job in the middle. But long-term, you would want him to be the right-back. Mentally is where the big difference is between him and the rest that we've seen so far. Again, though, he is wanted by Saudi clubs, so that might be taken out of our hands in January. A young player coming up next, Javier, a 20-year-old holding midfielder, can also play further back and further forward. 6'2", so good enough in that defensive side as well. Great positioning, which is always a favourite of mine. One for the future rather than this season, albeit he seems to have played most of their games, which is puzzling given some that haven't. Bradaric is our first choice left back, the Croatian 28-year-old. Really good left back on big money and was wanted by Saudi clubs when we were looking at this job at first. Not the case at the minute. It's got a fairly low minimum fee release compared to most. Obviously, it's a mandatory thing in Spanish football, but he is a player who I think is going to be rock solid for us. Again, not really got the standout attributes, but is just good across the board, which we do need a few of them. And alongside him, probably at left centre-half, will be the Ivorian international, Dan Zagadou, because at 29, he's also 3.5-star ability, and he has got standout attributes. He's average technically. He's probably just above average mentally, but he's got attributes I like. Good positioning, doesn't dive into tackles. Don't really like that he plays his way out of trouble, but he's good enough, and he's a monster in the air. So set pieces, we've got a threat, and hopefully he'll be the one who delivers. But a little bit worried if I don't play Martinez centre-half about a lack of pace. So playing Comer alongside Zagadou, I think it'd just be a little bit too slow as a combination. Moving on, we've got a very versatile player next. 28-year-old Valerie can play anywhere down the left or right flank. He's an average player. He's been starting most games, which again I find weird. I think there are better players who haven't been playing. He's been there since the academy days. He's a brilliant servant of the club and he's a solid squad player, but that shouldn't be starting in any position at this level. I'm sorry. The next one is a Saudi left back, an international player, Zakaria Hazawi. He is 27 years of age. He's a good left back. Not as good as Bradaric, but a good number 2. Very solid squad player again. Bit concerned about the wages there, though. Following him, we've got into midfield properly now with John Solis, 24-year-old Colombian. I was about to say international, but he's not. Very good player physically. Very solid on the mental side. Again, lacking a little bit technically. So a bit similar to Linen and the Greek lad as well. Again, it's just what shape we play because we've got three there. We could play that holding mid and two centre mids. But I'm also conscious of the fact that we've got the Wonder Kid to come and number 10's further forward as well. So we might have to decide a bit later here. Next after him is the Wonder Kid, Azier Costa. 4-star ability, 5-star potential. He's 20 years of age. He's got a release clause of 26.5 million, which is probably problematic. We might have to try and get him a new deal before the window. You can see he's a standout star. He's not a brilliant player yet. Could be a very good striker with his attributes, but in midfield and in the holding role, yep, I can understand that entirely. Maybe have to play two holding mids because all the other ones we've got, ball winners, sort of ball busters, hard physical players. And then this guy is just an absolute menace on the ball. So if we can get him in possession and creating and dictating the game, might be handy for us. Moving back to experience in the wide areas, we've got Manu Vallejo, 31 years of age. He is a good finisher, can play up front naturally as well. I actually quite like him as an advanced forward, but as a winger, I'd like to hope we've got better players in the squad in all positions. But as a first choice option off the bench potentially, you can see he's got 3 and 7 starts this year. He's someone who could be quite handy. So very much a fan of him. I've managed him before in FM a few years ago at Burnley in the head coach. Ivan Martin is next, and he's a bit of a curious one. 29-year-old midfielder, and the one that might force me into a change of shape because rather than playing the 4-3-3, Martin is a centre mid or an attacking mid. I don't think he can play in a centre mid with Costa because they're both left-footed. They're both more the creative types, and it doesn't leave enough physicality in there. But he's got a great personality. He's good going forward. He's clearly a key player for them. So I think I'm forced then into playing a number 10 and two holding mids. He's had 2 stints at the club. He's been here for years. He's made loads of appearances, and he's got a great character. So I'd probably try and shoehorn him in. Then I'm left most puzzled by this news, which is Viktor Siganov, who is transfer listed because the club don't currently have a role for him to play. Why? He's the best attacking player. Right winger who can cover a number of other positions, over 100 international caps. He's just a brilliant player. He's played nearly 200 times for the club. Why on earth is he not playing more? He'll be going straight back into the team under me. One of those where you see a new manager come in and suddenly everything changes. Viktor Siganov is going to be one of those. A fantastic player and very much a regular in my side. That means 4-2-3-1 almost certain. But what young players are going to be in there with him? Because the first one is Joel Roca, who can play any of the attacking 3 positions, but it says 2.5 star, and that's generous. He's got a bit of flair, he's got good character, but again, that is not a good enough player to be playing at this level. He's made 17 senior appearances. He's a B team regular. He won't be playing for regular for the first team, I can tell you that. Next is Gabri Martinez, another 3-star player who's transfer listed. Maybe the previous manager wasn't playing with wide men, that's all I can think. Because it's both Siganov and Martinez and the next one who's a winger who are all transfer listed. And Allende actually, who was a wide player. So Gabri Martinez, yeah, he's fine. I mean, he's not brilliant. I wouldn't really want him to be starting. But as an impact player who's got a bit of pace and can play off either side off the bench, he's a clever player. I quite like him. So yeah, definitely a substitute. And I think maybe they were just playing without wingers before. The next one is Justin, 2.5 star. That's a very generous rating. He's not good enough. I mean, he'll do a job as an emergency on the bench, but he actually is surplus to requirements. And the fact he's wanted by Bulgarian teams with the greatest of respect suggests that he's probably not La Liga standard. For to go, we've got a star youngster next to, in fact. Alfred Delafeu is a 20-year-old false 9. Oh, the dreaded striker who can't finish. The only positive is he's a very good number 10. And in Ivan Martin's role could be a good backup option, but the striker who can't finish, the dreaded curse, not really suiting my styles. I don't like the false 9, the deep lying forwards. So unless we were playing 2 up front, I probably couldn't incorporate him. But as a backup number 10, possibly an option. I haven't seen anyone better yet. Will Emric Crossas be that option? Because he is an 18-year-old with 2.5 ability, 5-star potential. Yes, I like him. Natural striker and winger. Maybe lacking physically. He's not got the pace or the strength. But he's a very clever pro. I quite like him as a number 10, even though it's not his strongest position. And I do like him off the right as that sort of clever player as well. He's got the finishing ability. He's got the jumping reach at 6'1" at the back post. Given a couple of years and with even modest improvements physically, I think he could be a really good player. We're not going to get the benefit of that long term, but I'll try and get him a few minutes if possible. And then we go on to the final two, where hopefully we've got a star striker. The first of them is Myron Buadu, 3.5 ability. Yes, like him very much. I've managed him before in FM. Very quick, very good running in behind. Not the most consistent finisher in the world. He's only got 1 in 12 this season and has really struggled. But we'll try and get the best out of him. And a few goals, hopefully, we'll get him back in the mix very quickly here. Yeah, I like him. 1 in 3 over 3 years. Not the worst record. We'll try and improve that in the next 6 months. And then the last one, who is also transfer listed, 29-year-old Argentinian, Tadio Allende, who can play naturally off both wings, can do a job up front as well. They definitely transfer listed all the wingers before. I really like him. He's my type of player. He's got physical attributes. He's naturally fit. He can jump at the back stick. He's very clever technically. Good at arriving at the back post with both finishing and heading. Long shot rating's good. And mentally, he's just solid across the board. Works his backside off. Versatile. You're going to be a superstar, my friend. So I'm looking at a 4-2-3-1. I'm looking at Allende and Siganov in the wide areas. Martin behind Buadu. Costa with one of the ball busters in midfield. And then I probably have to tuck Martinez in at right centre-half for now, just until January. And then we'll try and sign either a senior centre-half or right-back once we've got a few off the books, like your Mormons, your Justins, etc. They're definitely going to return to playing wide players, hopefully change the fortunes, because it's not been a good season for the club. And while we've not got the worst run on paper until Christmas, we've got Elche who are second bottom, Tenerife third bottom, Villarreal mid-table, Vigo mid-table, Mallorca the same as well, lower league opposition in the cup. And I'm hopeful we can get on a little run. We'll probably come back and have a look at the January window, what we're able to do over the Christmas period. We've got some tough games there with the likes of Pamplona, Real Madrid, Valencia, Atletico Madrid, etc. But until then, we're going to try and get some results on the board. Let me know if you agree with my tactical decisions. We'll find out whether they're fruitful soon or not. But everything else looking pretty good at the club. We've got a good hierarchy with a lot of experienced players in. And hopefully, once we take Siganov off the transfer list and a couple of others too, they might be feeling a little bit happier. Let's go and get through the first few weeks at the club. And we'll be back in intervals when big news occurs. Well, the evening may be setting in, but we have got a big relegation 6-pointer on our hands. We are 3 games into our stint at Girona. We picked our tactic, which we discussed in the last bit, and we also got through a couple of very encouraging performances, but with some, well, dramatic moments that have cost us. A couple of crucial injuries have become problematic as well, but let me tell you what I'm on about. It's fairly evident. Since you were here, I'll show you the tactic briefly so you can see. It's a wide tactic, but without much natural width. We've got the fullbacks providing it, particularly Bradaric down the right. And on the left-hand side, we're playing with an inverted forward because it's the only way I can really make the system work. However, if we look at the schedule, it's not quite gone to plan. We played against Mallorca in the first game, did really well, but we threw away a lead on 2 occasions. And you may be wondering about the friendly as well. Basically, it's a problem I have with the B-team leagues in FM and the way it works, because you can't keep your reserve players at senior age and level fit. And it's not as easy. You have to really micromanage if you want to do so, or manage the B team as well. And as a result of that, we're having to rearrange friendlies. And yes, we got a heavy win. We got backup players fit. It benefited the likes of Allende and Martinez, who hadn't been playing before. But it wasn't enough. Late on, we struggled physically. And the same happened against Celta Vigo, which was even worse because we were 3-0 up at half-time. And we managed to throw it away. We were 3-1 up with 10 to go, and we managed to throw it away. To lose a 3-goal lead, your goalkeeper being a star player. I mean, we were smashing and grabbing it. It was against the run of play we were ahead. But the positive sign is the wide system is working for attacking. We're creating chances. We're scoring goals. But defensively, there's a lot of work to be done. And we know it is the weakness in the team. The first game, Martinez struggled at centre-half. The second game, it was Stenzel at right-back who had a tough game. The third game away at Villarreal, a much better effort. But again, it was a bit more backs against the wall. We've been trying to be positive and aggressive and basically Kevin Keegan it. We're going to outscore the opposition. But in this game, we tried to sit a little bit deeper and didn't quite pay off. The early goal, we couldn't quite get back on terms. And it finished 1-0, despite the fact that we've been pretty good in the 3 matches so far. And that leaves us with this one against Elche. Our next 2 games are against the other 2 sides in the relegation zone. We are on 10 points now. We are still 4 from safety. And we've got the 2 sides directly above us, both of whom have got the same or worse goal differences because they've been having a poor year. So this is the chance for us to push away. Are we able to do so? We're going to play through the next couple and find out the answer. They are our last 2 league games before the winter break. And then we've also got the transfer window opening on Boxing Day, a little bit earlier in Spain for some reason. And then we can really try and add some players in. So it's been an encouraging start in terms of, yes, we look better. When you consider how many games they weren't scoring, 2 in a row at the end of October, the whole of September, the last 3 in August. We've definitely created more of a threat. The wide men are having an impact, but it's not doing enough defensively. We've got to find a balance in these next 2. And hopefully, if we can get 6 points on the board, even 4, just try and get back in that mix. Then the window will come at the right time to add a couple in. We're without Zagadou, who is the one really strong centre-half at the minute. So let's see how the next couple of games go. And we will return once the window's open. Well, we return on the 10th of January and we've done exactly what we hoped, which is picked up the minimum of 4 points. We've got ourselves away from danger as such because we're not marooned anymore. We're 3 points off 14th, or you could say we're 2 points off the bottom, depending on which way you look at it. But again, we have had another crushing day. We've got the same old problem when it comes to defensive records. And hopefully what we can do in this window will be able to address it because we've got a tough run of games coming up. Let's start by having a look at the schedule and what's been happening because the games before winter were weird. We had a 1-0 win at home to Elche, an incredibly squeaky game. Siganov missed the penalty, put the rebound in. We didn't look like scoring aside from that. Again, we had a couple of injuries. And again, Omri Glazer, the goalkeeper, was the man of the match. Defensively, we were very solid. We then won comfortably away in the cup with a bit of rotation, but we didn't actually take the lead until we brought some of the superstars on. So you can see Martinez, Solis, Boadu and Elenda all came off the bench. 2 of them scored and then Roca got one as well. But the starting team didn't produce a lot. And actually, it was Benat Gomez, the sub-keeper, who ended up being a star in that game. Then it became the crushing story yet again. This time, not from ahead, but we took the lead, well, by 2-0, threw it away to 3-2, got a late equaliser. We just aren't able to hold on to leads. And in the end, we did well to get a point. I also wanted to know, I don't know if you saw the stats there for the attendance. 20,652, 9 away fans. Now, I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate, but I'm looking at the away games here, and we've had less than 100 fans at virtually every match. I'm not sure we'd only take 9 to Tenerife. Now, you can correct me. I'm sure Girona haven't got the biggest away crowds in the world, but 9 seems to be pushing it. We're talking like Gateshead down to the south coast at Yeovil in England at this rate. I would say that's pushing it a little bit, but we did get a result. We kept the unbeaten run going. It's now 4 in all competitions, albeit 2 of them in the cup, including a second against lower league opposition again. Boadu got a brace there. Good to see him scoring, but we're not quite clicking just yet. So I think we're going to need a little bit more work in terms of additions. And if we have a look at this window so far, there is a lot going on that could happen yet. The problem is everyone we're going for, there's 4, 5, 6, 7 clubs chasing, and all of them seem to be more appealing than us. We've also got a lot of staff that we're trying to get in. We're trying to add to that recruitment team, get better scouts in as well. But so far, it's not been particularly forthcoming. Few players have gone out on loan, and we have got 1 or 2 off the wage bill. So Martin Moorman, who we mentioned wasn't good enough, has gone for 500 grand, 6 or 7 grand a week off the wages too. But nobody has joined the club just yet. People have rejected us, and people have rejected moves away. We've not quite got what we wanted. We're looking ideally for a brilliant goalkeeper. We need a right back or a centre half. I'm hoping Tierno Balde will be that man. And up front, I need another option because the only real natural striker I've got is the starting one. And if we get an injury, we're in trouble. Terran Moffi is the man I'm chasing. He looks a gem. He is a superstar. He's a ready-made player. It's a short-term fix, but that's the beauty of this save. I don't have to sign young players for the future. I can fix things in the here and now. And this guy would do that. But at the moment, seems to be more inclined to join PSV. So hopefully they offer him a pittance of a wage. The staff that we have added and are looking to add are the ones that should make a difference. Antonio Barragan is a fan that Liverpool and Valencia and Middlesbrough fans will recognise is a very good scout and at one of our rivals in this save. Anthony Gillot would add a little bit of French and would hopefully allow us to find players from further afield. And then we're also looking at 19s coaches as well, but that's largely been done by the club. The only additions we have had so far are on the staff in front. There's a couple that have moved out and a lot that have come in. So we've filled most of the voids in the squad. You can see since we've joined, we've had a goalkeeping coach come in who's exceptional, a physio from Watford who's brilliant. Narcy Palak has joined us as a coach. Might have been a failed manager at Stoke City, but as an all-round coach, we desperately needed someone with ability. Sebastiano Pochettino improves the fitness team, and then Fran Rico does the same as an assistant manager. Great judgment, brilliant tactical knowledge, someone who can help us out mid-game. Normally I have to save that role for someone who's a good coach as well, whereas here I could just get a specialist in. We've got another coach in Ballesteros who's great technically and tactically. We've got performance analysts, sports scientists. We've added plenty to the team. And as we keep going down, you can see we're adding real quality here. Edu Rubio, the latest of the coaching team. Daniel Carrera, goalkeeping coach. Real superstars that we're adding to our group. We're also now focusing on the recruitment team. Jose Viñas came in from Granada, a big upgrade as a scout, and also a technical director who looks very good as well in Antonio Pinaral, also got Portuguese knowledge, another thing that may be important. So lots going on off the pitch. We're not quite finding the signings we want on it yet though, and we are missing out on key targets. So it's going to be an important month for us. We've got a lot of work to do, and at the moment, we're still muddling through with the same old squad, and there is a bit of interest in one or two of ours. So we'll see if anything comes of that, and if not, we'll be back at the end of the window in a few weeks' time. We've got Zaragoza, who are 5th bottom, a big game coming up this week. Pamplona are 18th. It's a huge run of matches, because after that, against Madrid, against Valencia, I don't see us picking up too many points. Let's return at the end of the window and see what we've managed to get in. Well, the end of the transfer window has arrived, but crucially, we finish it outside of the relegation zone. We are up to 15th on 20 points after a perfect month so far, albeit it's been a little bit sketchier than it looks on paper. We've managed to get the big results that matter though, and we are now 5 points clear of the relegation zone. This is the sign we were looking for. We've also managed to do a little bit of transfer work. Not all of it good, it must be said, but will help the club moving forward this season. And we've also had to do a bit of preemptive work because of deals that were getting done in windows that close after ours, which is a problem in this save. I don't know if it's the case in real life, but I don't remember the La Liga window shutting earlier than the British one, but apparently here it is. We come up against Real Madrid next. That'll be tough because our first choice goalkeeper, as you can see, is doubtful. He'll probably still have to play. But let's start by having a look at the transfer news because the last 3 weeks have been big and we also just missed out on a great opportunity. As it happens, I've ended up inadvertently setting the club up for the future. John Pacheco will come in as a left-back and centre-half at the end of the season. Free agent deal, which, by the way, from Bilbao, is a very good one. He's starting regularly for a top-half team. Naturally fit. I wanted him to come in as my first-choice left-back for reasons you'll see in a minute. In the end, that didn't happen, and we couldn't afford the transfer fee at the time. And that's because the deal of the player who was leaving wasn't going to be done till after our window shut. One of those annoying things with the Saudi clubs and the other windows shutting later. So, unfortunately, we've had to get in a temporary loan solution and Pacheco will benefit the next manager, but we have managed to get a few in the club straight away. 3 players, as you can see, and a number going out. Now, the biggest problem we had is that our window shut on the 25th. And on transfer deadline day, after loaning a few players out and an offer for Deulofeu, which I was happy to accept because he wasn't getting enough football, we then got an offer from the Chinese Super League for Bradaric, our first choice left back. It met his release clause. We couldn't offer him a new deal. There was no alternative. He goes for £29.5 million. Fine. But then, because that deal wasn't going to be completed until after our window shut, we couldn't pay to get Pacheco up front. We couldn't get somebody in on a transfer. So we had to go and get a sort of panic buy, which may mean the Saudi backup left back Housawi is going to be our starter for the rest of this season. He was intended to be a backup by the person who signed him. We did get 3 players in. We'll start with the panic loan signing at the end of the window. Someone who knows La Liga, knows Spanish football, isn't great and is past his peak, but Sergio Reguilon was the best we could get on deadline day. He is pretty good, but he's declining sharply at 32. He's not played a lot of football this season, but he'll do a job for me. And I just think, even if the other guy starts for now, off the bench, yes, he's earning more money than he should be. Yes, it's not the signing we wanted to make, but he's a solid left back for the rest of the season. So if we need him, we've got someone there. The two that we've brought in permanently, though, are very good signings. The first one is that right back or centre half we needed. We had to go right back in the end. From Mulder for £3.2 million, Thierno Balde, a 26-year-old Guinean international, comes in. Was famously at PSG as a young player and never really got a chance. Then at Troy, then at Mulder, got plenty of appearances and experience. And he made, well, one hell of a debut. 8.7 rating and an assist and player of the match. He's just a flying fullback. So it does mean that next season this club will have choices because it can play a back three with Martinez right centre half, or it will have two very strong right backs, or they can sell Martinez for a big money offer from Saudi and still have a very good pro at the club. Good positioning, physically great, still big enough at the back post to deal with himself and solid going forward. I think he's a brilliant player and I'm delighted to have got him for such a cheap fee. He wasn't so cheap the second one, but definitely an option for us. Terran Moffi did reject as we expected, so we had to go for a slightly younger, future-proofing aspect instead. Is Horacio Donne, 8.75 million from Talleres in Argentina. He is a 20-year-old under-20 international. Not the best finisher in the world just yet, but he's a wonder kid. He's physically brilliant. He's a flair player. He's got good technique, good first touch. Not sure about the playing left back and holding mid that is suggested, well, unconvincingly here, but as someone who can play off the right or up front, we've got one hell of a gem for the future. Again, unlike most of the other clubs, I'm probably not going to be the main beneficiary here, but he is someone who's going to be instantly involved in the team, whether or not that's behind Boadu or in front of him, or as well as with one of them playing wide. We've definitely got two strikers that are going to be big for the club. So, not the busiest window in the world, and I couldn't get the goalkeeper I wanted, but it has been a very good time nonetheless. We've added depth, we've added quality, and we've given ourselves a fighting chance. That's also translated on the pitch by taking advantage of what are some friendlier fixtures on paper. We've followed up our second round cup win with a crucial 2-1 win away at Zaragoza. Again, for some reason, we flew out the traps, 2 goals in 10 minutes with the 2 stars, Siganov and Boadu doing the job. After that, it was a clinging on job. We gave away a penalty, we fought defensively, but we got Azier Costa back, we got Zagadou back, we had a little bit more control, just Martinez missing on that occasion. We then got through in the third round of the Spanish Cup. It was a pretty average performance, but Martinez and Boadu got the goals. We were then perfect in penalties before beating Atletico Pamplona, or Osasuna as you would know them, by 3-0 with the same 2 men. Boadu and Siganov, definitely the stars of the show going forward. Balde was absolutely brilliant in that game. Away at Burgos, another fortunate cup draw. You can see that run ends at Bilbao in the next round. We got a 2-1 victory thanks to Vallejo and Boadu, but we're not clear enough yet that I can afford to rest everyone. Maybe against Madrid I can rotate a little, focus on Bilbao in the cup, but there is a point where we have to prioritise the league, and at the moment, it looks like being now. We're still only 5 points clear of the relegation zone. The harder fixtures are starting to come in the next couple of months, but we have got a friendly-ish finish to the season, so if we can get away from danger soon, it could be a fairly positive finish for us, and maybe a chance to look up rather than down. We're 15 points off 6th, so I don't think we're going to be threatening Europe, but we're also 5 points off the relegation zone, which I absolutely would have taken when we joined in bottom place. We've lost less games than anyone in that bottom 8, and we've started to close the gap to the likes of Zaragoza by beating them just above. So now is going to be the crucial spell. Can we pull away from danger? Can we get any surprise results against some of these teams in the top half who are having good seasons but aren't maybe the best teams in the league? And can we go on a little cup run? We'll wait and find out the answer. But overall, let me know what you think of the window below. I'm fairly happy with the work we've done, and I think it gives us a chance of comfortable survival. Well, I have to be honest here. We return in the middle of March, and I'm almost disappointed because I've just sort of flown through it and we're comfortably safe. It started with a couple of ridiculous results, which again seemed to be easier on paper than they should have been. Now we are starting to falter due to injuries and the fact that we played Barcelona last, but as you can see, we've moved up to 12th place. We're on 35 points. We're 14 clear of the relegation zone. And it's just become comfortable again. After a couple of months, when we get our players in, when they get used to our tactic, now we've got those coaching badges and that reputation. It just makes too much of a difference in this year's game. And the correlation is definitely suggesting that once you get your reputation up, the game becomes very easy. If we go and have a look at the schedule, you can see why I got frustrated at the start, because the first game after I left you last, we beat Real Madrid 1-0. Tierno Balde got the winner. I mean, it was a dream for him, and it was a great result. And yes, the goalkeeper was man of the match again, but the fact is we won against Real Madrid. We then lost back-to-back games in the Cup against Bilbao, where the goalkeeper ironically had a shocker. And Valencia, we lost 2-1 with Broadu getting a goal, but wasn't quite enough in the end. We did play well in that game, though. Then, though, when we started playing the mid-table side, you just find, and I actually looked a little bit in the last couple, when we played Bilbao, and particularly when we played Levante and Getafe, there were teams rotating for other competitions or just rotating to bring in youngsters. And we see it a lot in our assistant reports, you know, where they suggest you should make these changes because you've got nothing to play for. And we're starting to see that creeping in when it comes to results, because we beat Alaves 2-0. I mean, even our team keeping 3 successive clean sheets is a bit of a joke, given what had come before. Martin and Boadu there. 3-0 against Getafe. Allende, Martin and Martinez. Allende had been rubbish till that point, suddenly decides to hit form. Scores again against Levante, a late second from Leinen. For some reason, Omri Glazer seems to be man of the match pretty much every week. 7.4, 7.3 every single one. We did lose against Atletico Madrid. We were battered at Barca, despite the Donne goal. He got himself his first goals for the club the week before, a brace in a 5-1 victory against Bilbao. We were 4-0 up after 55 minutes. It was really comfortable, and the only disappointment there was that Siganov got a little knock. But we went ahead to the next week. We did okay, and Azier Costa, the youngster, is starting to become a superstar. Still not signed a new deal. No one came in with a bid in January, which I find pretty preposterous. Again, something we need to discuss about the transfer system. We talked about it a lot this year. But overall, in terms of us doing our job, it's been brilliant. But it's not what we designed the Firefighter for. We expected a challenge. I would expect 5, 6, 7 clubs coming in and saying, oh, we can get Costa for 26 million. We're going to do it. We're going to exercise the release clause. But we didn't have any interest really, other than the one left back who left the club. So we now go into a run of 8 games where we've gone out of the cup. There's not a lot to play for in the league. I guess we've got a very outside sniff of Europe, which 7th is now going to the league due to the cup semi-finalists. But I don't think we're going to get there. So I think we're just going to run through. We'll have a look at the youth intake when that comes. And otherwise, we'll go straight to the end of the season. And I might show you my final ever game of this save, because Tenerife at home at the moment is going to be the one. And as they stand, they're bottom of the league. So at least we might be able to have a bit of fun with it. For now, though, we'll let you know when the youth intake comes, and hopefully there'll be some good news from that as well. Well, after a boring 1-1 draw at home to Real Betis, Donne scoring again, though. He actually looks like he might be on course for Player of the Month this month, because he's got 4 goals already. Having a really good time of it, the youngster. We are back with a youth intake, which, of course, we're not going to benefit from, but it's always interesting to see what these sides get. And Girona, my word, they have got a pretty good one. Loads of high-quality players coming through. Yes, the rest of it is pretty much dross, but one decent young centre-half there who predictably can't jump at 5'10". If we go back up to the top, 5 gems coming through the academy. This is the so-called golden generation. Anselm is a striker, great finisher, has got other attributes that are okay. Maybe his movement could do with work, but as a poacher, looks like he might be a good one. Eloy Planaguma, he is another striker, bit more of an all-rounder, bit taller, bit more physical, braver, more determined. Could be one hell of a foil as a front two in 5 or 6 years' time. The left back is Emili Crusat, who is a very good one, marked as a diamond. Not the most naturally fit, not the best pace, not the best strength, is naturally a centre-half. Weirdly, he's 6'6", his jumping reach is great, but at 6'6", his strength is 5, and he's also got a heading of 6. God knows how that balance has come along, but he's still got the attributes to be a decent enough player. An actual left back, and who can cover on the right, is Raymond. He is 4.5 star potential, good tackle, good basic attributes, just a really solid pro. And then finally, on the other side of the fullback area, Ricard is a right back with big potential. Again, very nice balance of attributes. Determination may be a worry, but mentoring can solve that. Everything else is relatively solid, and he's a good tackler, got the stamina. At 15, Looks a potential superstar. Really big fan of him. So I think if you were managing Girona for the long haul, you'd be delighted with that intake. For us, though, we're going to focus on the next couple of weeks. We've not got much to play for. That point has probably ruled out any chance of Europe. We're 10 away with 8 to go. We're nowhere near relegation. We're going to be absolutely fine. And actually, if you look at the points totals, there's 5 teams, on 24 points or less. This could be a really low total for relegation. So might have ended up being one of the easiest seasons to survive, to provide us with yet another lucky escape. Let's skip ahead. We'll be back with any news as it comes. Well, again, 2 weeks have passed and we've had probably the standout result of the save as we're about to come up against Vincent Kompany Sevilla. I do want to tell you about this one. A 4-1 win at Real Sociedad. Donny, who did get player of the month, nearly said manager of the month, popped up with a brace in that game. Azier Costa got one. Alenda's been in great form as well. He then scored in a 2-2 draw against Espanyol, which again, 95th minute equaliser goes in against us. We've conceded a lot of late goals. And that one probably takes away our chance at Europe, because if we'd won it, we'd have been in 11th on 42 points, just 5 away from Villarreal with a game against them to come. As it is now, we celebrate comfortable survival, and probably once it's mathematically confirmed we can't, we'll try and put in a few of the youngsters for a couple of games, get them appearances. I do want to point out on this screen as well, I talk about the players I sign making a difference and having that instant impact in a Firefighter, because often when we're doing our long-term saves, we're focusing on players for the future. We'll look at Tiermo Balde, second best average rating in the league, improving no end, pushing the homegrown player Martinez out the door as it stands. He has been remarkable. 11 games, 5 assists, 2 goals. We said we were going to rely on our fullbacks for width because all of the wingers are sort of inverted players, the likes of Siganov, Alenda, etc. This boy has been a superstar. Absolutely adore him. What a signing for 3.2 million. Only problem is, his release clause is 30. People will be exercising that the way it's going, if this was a normal world and not FM. So we are in the middle of the table. We've got a very outside chance. I think that goal right at the end of that Espanyol game has probably cost us in the end. The other thing that may be the issue for us now is this. Azier Costa has picked up sprained knee ligaments and is out for the season. And that means that we are woefully short in midfield. We don't have any other player like him. Because we still had 3 or 4 decent centre mids, it wasn't a position I prioritised in the window because I knew, look, ultimately I can put Solis in and do a job in there. But we haven't got another player like him. So it's going to be difficult for the rest of the season without him in there. As you can see, we're missing Valerie's versatility. Solis himself is probably going to miss the next game. So it is a little bit trickier. We're probably just going to miss out. But my word, the firefighting element surviving, unlike those first few clubs of this save, it's ended up being very comfortable again, unfortunately. Well, we return with 3 games to go to basically announce that formally we have nothing to play for. We've picked up another few points. We are on 44, but poor form and inconsistency and the injury to Costa have hit us at the wrong time. Villarreal and Brendan Rodgers was going to be the big game I showed if we were still in the mix, but now it's not to be. The only opportunity would have been if 8th place still got Europe, but given the fact that Italy and England are the top 2 nations at the minute, the coefficient is not strong enough to do so. It does look like it's going to be a pathetic total to survive, probably not even 30 points needed. So that is basically suggesting how easy it would have been to stay up. And it is something we've seen across the board in FM24 this year. If you go back to my first save on Twitch with Luton, staying up in the Premier League with 25 or 28 points, whatever it was. And then also we saw it in the Southend save where I stayed up just over 30 a couple of times. It has been a lot easier than in previous years. The points total is very skewed. If we go and have a look at the schedule though, just falling off at the wrong time. The Sevilla game after Espanyol was nearly another one of those. We conceded a 90th minute winner, as we thought. Crossas actually made the mistake off the bench, the youngster. He then came back and scored in the 93rd. He's improving massively. He's going to be a star for this club in the future. Against Mallorca, we won by 2-1. Look who scored for Mallorca, by the way. Super Alfie Doughty to the rescue for them. He's come from Luton on loan. He's going permanently in the summer. Nice to see his face popping up in the La Liga. And in a way, at Celta Vigo, a 2-0 defeat. Jorgen Strand Larsen, a big centre forward, is always the most dangerous thing in FM24. 3 games to go with nothing riding on them now. So we're going to return for the last one of them and show you my final game of this Firefighter save on camera. Well, one win and one defeat from the following two games. The sides in the European places picked up nothing at all, doing their best to bottle it again. But it's been one hell of a ride, hasn't it? We've not had the same drama at the last few clubs that we had in our first few, where it went to final day deciders to survive or fail, as it was in some instances. And we haven't had those close battles against relegation. We have had one surprise promotion, one surprise push for Europe. And with Girona, we've got to be fair, while we've done it a bit too easily overall from where we were, we have basically achieved what was expected of the club. We finish at home to bottom place Tenerife. I don't think Azier Costa's going to make it, but we're going to enjoy the day regardless. The last two games, we did get a win and a defeat. Siganov scoring all of our goals, most of them from the penalty spot as well. Against Elche, it was the familiar pattern of the late goal. If we didn't concede in the last 5 minutes every other week, we probably would be in Europe by now. I have left one parting gift for whoever takes over at Girona as well. I couldn't get the goalkeeper in January, but Lucas Chevalier is coming in at the end of the season. 6.75 million, a big upgrade on Glazer. And at 6'2", a commanding keeper. West Ham's backup becomes our first choice. I think we'll be pretty happy with him, having had years of experience at Lille. For now, though, we're not going to worry about whether the save was too easy or not of the last few clubs, whether we've survived too comfortably with Girona. We're just going to enjoy the final game of a very eventful career. We've been to loads of nations we've not been to. We've had loads of experiences that were dramatic and were tough. But the reputation and the coaching badges has definitely made too much of a difference. Now we go into the final game, and I'm not going to rotate as much as they suggest. I'm going to go almost as strong as I can. Done's had a poor few weeks since getting player of the month, so he will drop out for this. And we'll basically go to the 11 that was first choice when we got here, with the exception of Balde coming in, and obviously having the injury in central midfield. Hassawi has to play because of the left-back being sold. I could have given Region a send-off and a thank you for coming in, but you can see he has declined quickly, and I mean that. But this is the squad we've gone for today. Costa, I'm so tempted to put on the bench, but he's failed the fitness test, and I don't want to harm the lad. He's been brilliant for the most part when he's been here. Solis isn't quite the same, but he is in that deep line playmaker role today. Glazer in goal, Hassawi and Balde the star man at right back. Martinez, who's not been great, alongside Zagadou in the middle. Linen and Solis with Ivan Martin in front of them. And then Alenda and Siganov the wingers behind Miron Bouadou up front. No one's been particularly consistent going forward. They've all been streaky at different times. They've all done the job when it matters. And we're comfortably safe to enjoy our final game of the Firefighter. As here we go with a warning to close down Roberto Lopez. Not many familiar names in the visitors team. They have gone down pretty comfortably with a whimper. Let's go and give the fans a send-off for a brilliant season. Why Bouadou looks stressed, I don't know. There couldn't be a less stressful game in the footballing calendar than being a mid-table team with nothing to play for. A striker that scored a few goals this year, coming up at home against the worst defence in the league. What are you really that worried about? Let's get into the first half and see how it goes. We're sticking positive with the mentality. We're going on the front foot. But it's been an awfully quiet 10 minutes so far. Might need a little bit of encouragement for the lads. And hopefully we can push on forwards. Doesn't look to be coming though. Don't finish off with a game where you're on the beach. Siganov's got the free kick on the left. First big highlight of the game. Into the back post and headed away. Bouadou's there. On the volley over the bar. Bit too desperate to score there, I'm afraid. And it stays 0-0 after 20 minutes. But you can see Tenerife are just playing not to be embarrassed at the minute. As Martinez heads away for Bouadou. If we can get the first in the first half, I think we'll open them up. You look at it, I know we've scored a few goals in these saves, but we've not really dominated many games. There's not been a lot of 3-4-5s. We've had a couple of big performances, but that's it. As Siganov finds Ivan Martin, and there is the goal we were looking for. Siganov, the only man who scored in May. This time he turns provider. And Ivan Martin, who I dropped last week as a warning, bought Crossas in, has come back into the team with aplomb. 1-0, and he scored the goal. As Siganov is on free kick duty. Pusher the shirt has given it to Hausawi. Goes to Bouadou. Lovely curling effort. Just wide of the post. One of the things I have noticed at Girona, very narrow pitch they'd set up at the start of the season. That sort of suit the team they've got. And maybe that's why we've done well bringing width into it. But players who are inverted from those positions. It has thwarted the opposition in the area where perhaps we're the most exposed and leaving the most gaps. And maybe explains why most of our sort of 2-alls and 3-alls have been away from home. As Solis picks the ball up in the central midfield area. Back to Arnau Martinez, who I've got to say, but the star player at the club has been a bit disappointing, albeit out of his preferred position for the most part. And Hausawi on the left can carry it forward. Alenda's not going to get to that. It's a pretty terrible pass, but the long clearance is straight back to Zagadou. And you know what I think when we see a long highlight? Surely it's going to lead to something. Solis is looking for the pass. He's no Azier Costa, but he's been given plenty of space. And he's surging down the right. Might go all the way. Puts the cross in towards Alenda. And the header's over the bar. I'm not sure that was worthy of being seen. Certainly not key highlight territory. Well, the praise has done nothing for the performance, but we have got a free kick right on the edge of the box with Siganov. He scored 3 this month, and he's a post width away from making it 4. I mean, they're offering nothing at all going forward. And to be fair, 1-0 flatters them at the minute. Hausawi's picked up a knock, so it's not really a position we've got great youngsters, so I will probably give Region a thank you 45 minutes. As Lynham plays a 1-2, Arnau goes wide to Siganov. I did see that Valery wants to leave at the end of the season, so maybe he gets a send-off appearance as well. I'd like to get a few of the youngsters on as Alenda finds Martin, who scores again. It's tight for offside and VAR will check. But I think Ivan Martin has made it 2-0. No flag from the assistant. It's going to take a big mistake to overturn it, which it hasn't. Good decision from the linesman. And 2-0 at half-time it should be. Or could it get better? Because Siganov has got another free kick in a dangerous position. And he's curled a couple in this season. And he almost curls that one in. Over the bar for 3. And at half-time, he's got one more. I'm still saying at half-time, he's got 30 seconds. And we've got another free kick. Surely this one's too close to goal. He's in the D. 20 yards out maximum. Can he find the corner? Can't go over the wall, surely. Siganov goes round the wall, hits the woodwork. Martin on the rebound. Hat-trick for Ivan Martin. He's barely scored since we've been here. And now he's got a first-half hat-trick. You can see that a couple of them were poachers' goals, but we are finishing in style. And that's exactly what we wanted. A good first-half performance. Let's get Hausawi off. We will say thank you to Region. We'll bring on Valery at some point as well. And then we'll get Donne and a couple of the youngsters on. For now, though, just the one change. And we'll give it 15 more before doing the rest. We'll let Martin go and get a round of applause as well. Well, a quiet 15 minutes. So we've thrown some changes on. Donne will replace the Boadu up front, who's not been in great form. And Javier and Crossas, 2 of the star youngsters, come on. And then with about 15 to go, I'm going to give Valery what will probably be his final appearance for the club. Someone who's been here since the start and made hundreds of appearances. And he'll replace Ivan Martin, who deserves his own personal send-off, having scored a hat-trick in this one. Solis brings the ball forward to Crossas, though. First, Martin tries to play the through ball. Not quite as good turning provider today. It's into midfield for the visitors. Well, they create a rare chance. They cut in from the left-hand side, and they've got the opportunity here. Ramon's in, and we almost blow the clean sheet. We're just not that good defensively, are we? Martin is going to come off now. Crossas will move in, and we'll say hello to Valery, who, to be fair to him, has been a very good servant for this football club, but just isn't quite good enough at this stage. Rocker, he is someone I'd like to get on, but he's 24 now. He's not a player for the future anymore. Let's just praise these lads. There are 10 minutes plus stoppages to go. We're going to praise them, get some reaction at last, and hopefully we'll finish in style. Not been the perfect performance, but it's been very one-sided, and it's going to be a 3-0 victory for Girona and a brilliant final day as a manager in this Firefighter save. What a result, what an effort, and what a comfortable season in the end. Let's see where that puts us at the end. Very good work, a very good win. We knew we were going to win that game, but it is nice to finish in style, and it's a good way to send off a very nice career. We move into the top half by a point, but we've played before everyone else. Why is the final match day not on the same time for everyone? Let's go and get through the rest of the weekend then, see what the scores are, and actually get a final table before we go and leave and retire. Well, the season has now come to a close officially, and we have finished in 11th place on 50 points. We are 22 clear of relegation and just 7 off of Europe. One hell of a finish to what has been a very good career. And the second half, I know I've had my complaints about it becoming a bit easy, but let's be honest, it's been a very special time. We did avoid relegation very easily in the end. The fact that it was only 28 points to be safe is a bit of a shame. However, the club's picking up money. They've given a bigger budget for next season as well, 20 million and a slight wage budget increase. So we've left the club in a great position. That's with 2 other good signings coming in as well. We finish off by making it 8 successes to 2 failures in the Firefighter, albeit 2 of those successes were very narrow and 2 of them also produced miracles. A great career for us, managing what, just 177 games in the end. We will do a full recap video of our career and look at all of the clubs at some point because we've obviously got 10 teams that we've managed. We want to see how they're doing now. This is our career history. These are the clubs we'll review next time. Failure with Ragsveds and with Hasselholms. However, everywhere else we've had success. And in the last 3 clubs, all of them, we found pretty comfortable in the end. I was probably most pleased to put Sweden right at a 3rd attempt and to finally get to managing Latvia, something I'd wanted to do for a long time. But we will recap this series in the future. The key thing for us now, though, is to focus on FM25. We will be doing this Firefighter save in a slightly different form when the game is released. But at the time of recording, we're still waiting for that end of January news relating to the new game. And that will decide both when the recap to this series comes. If there's no big news, it'll just be next week. And if there is big news, of course, we'll be talking about that. And we've got loads of save idea videos ready to go for FM25, in addition to the one we made before it got delayed before. So hopefully you've enjoyed this save, something a bit different. I know the second half maybe was a little disappointing, probably the last 3 clubs mainly, after what was a really enjoyable, dramatic start in those first 3 or 4 clubs, to end up having a few drama-free ones at the end. I don't know. Maybe we were just spoilt by the final day deciders with both Lyseng and Ragsveds and the manner in which some of those were decided. Let me know what your favourite stint has been, what your favourite moment was from the save, and whether or not you would be tempted by a Firefighter in the future, albeit we might have to implement some stricter rules. Thank you so much for following this new series and this new type of content from this channel. It's something we'll definitely do in the future alongside our regular saves, which will return for FM25 with daily videos. I do enjoy the in-depth stuff still, so you'll see plenty of that in the future. Keep your eyes peeled for FM25 news. Don't forget, we'll still be playing FM24 plenty over on our live streams on Twitch. Loads of football chat over there as well, so come and get involved. We're currently in the Czech Republic with Victoria Pelzen after 5 successful years at Aberdeen. And we're also going to be doing some blog updates over the next couple of months. You can find a link to that in the description below. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it as always. We are going to resign from Girona and retire this save. But for now, thank you so much for watching The Firefighter. Our 10 club stint is over and we have plenty of drama along the way. I'll see you next time.